Okay, in this tutorial we're going to talk about Adobe Animate and working with the timeline specifically for traditional hand-drawn style animation, so frame by frame, pose to pose animation here. So I'm going to create a new project right here, and 1920, make sure it's 24 frames per second, and press create. I'll zoom out a little bit. And so when I'm first animating, I like to animate on something that's as close to pencil on paper as possible, and then I like to move to vector and stuff like that when it's time to clean up. It depends on the style of animation that you're going for, but that's just usually my preference right here. And so the brush kind of setup that I like to use in Adobe Animate, because unfortunately in Animate everything's vector, but we can at least kind of take some steps to kind of bitmap it up, raster it up, and kind of the way that might be useful for people who prefer to work this way. So shortcut Y, I like the paintbrush tool, but remember you can use the classic brush, the fluid brush, or you could use the pencil tool. It's just really up to you. And so I'm going to do this brush right here. And remember, so I'm in the workspace, the basic workspace right there. And I'll click off of that. And that's just so you know that why my interface is arranged the way it is. Make sure you have the Properties tab open right here, so I can see the color of the stroke. Remember that this brush and this brush right here are stroke brushes, meaning that the color is going to be this outside color right here, the blue color. These brushes are fill brushes, so it'll be red. And if you want more info on that, look at my earlier tutorial on that. And so right here I can change the brush size. And so right here it's just a very vector looking brush right there. And so with I like to go to Style, look for the 3-button Style Options button right here. I'll click on that and go to Brush Library under the scroll down. And under here I like to go to Artistic, and you can choose whichever of these that you like, but I like to go to Artistic, Chalk and Charcoal, and one of these right here. So I'll choose the second one. And remember, you need to double click it in order to enable it so it shows up right there. So I'm going to close that out. And so now when I draw, it's just a little more organic right there. So I can change the brush size right here by typing in a number, dragging it this way. I can also use the square brackets on my keyboard. So the left bracket will make the brush smaller. So I press it about 4 times right there. So it's like that. And now I'm going to press it about 10 times right here, and I'll draw it like that. And you can see that it's much thicker right there. Okay, so that's kind of the tool I'm going to use. Now let's talk about the timeline. So right here, I am on my very first frame right here, and when I draw something, it's automatically going to generate a keyframe. So I'm going to end up animating a little smiley face going from screen left. I'll do a middle one, and then screen right to kind of show off some of these buttons and some of the options that you have right here. So I'll start with the left. I got my little smiley face right there. And so it's only lasting 1 frame right here. So you'll usually want to extend this frame right here. And so to do that, you're going to click on the frame that you want to extend it to. So right here, I've kind of moved it to frame 12 right there. And you can see it highlights blue. And so you can press, if I want to extend this frame to last to that point right there, I'm going to press this button right there. You can also press, I believe it's F5 on your keyboard right there, and it'll do it right there. So let me press undo, and so I'll press the button right there, or F5, and it'll extend the frame to right there. And so first drawing down. So let's insert a blank keyframe next, and then create our middle smiley face. So I'm going to go to my next frame right here. So I'm going to highlight the next frame blue right there. And I'm going to press this button right here, which is insert a blank keyframe right there. And I believe this one, if I'm remembering correctly, is F7. So if I press F7 right there, or again, if I press this button right here, it creates a blank keyframe. So you have an empty drawing right here, drawing canvas right here, and it's just like you got yourself a new sheet of paper. That's the best way to think of that, I think. So before I start drawing, I think a lot of times it's useful to be able to see your previous drawing. And so in traditional animation, that's why we use light tables. And in programs like that, this is where you use the onion skin button, which is this button right here. And so I'm going to click on that button, and you can see that my first drawing is showing up kind of in a ghost image right there, and it's showing up as like a little bit of like a red drawing. In your computer it might be a different color, and that has to do with some settings that I'll show soon right here. And so we'll go into advanced setting of the onion skinning right here, but you can see when you click on onion skinning, you can set the range from before or after using this right here, and we can go into some advanced options right here by going to advanced settings. That'll be really useful, but until we get some more drawings, it's going to be hard to show off those advanced features right there. So circling back, we have this right here. So I extended my first frame to that point, and then I clicked right here and I inserted a blank keyframe, a new sheet of paper, and I'm on my Y brush right here, and I'm just going to draw a middle smiley face right here. I'll give them, this is a terrible drawing. So I have my middle drawing right there, and so again, if I want to extend it, let's say that I want it to last to frame 20 right there, so I'll click on frame 20 and I'll click on this button right here, or again I can press, oops, my hand slipped right there, or I can press F5 on my keyboard, so that'll extend it to that point. And so now I'll turn off onion skinning by clicking that button, so now we're just back to normal view. And if I want to press playback, I can press return or this button right here. So return on your keyboard, or press that play button, and then it stops right there. Okay, so let's go to the next frame, our third and final frame. So we'll just do it again. So I'm going to click right here, make that next frame blue, and then I'm going to click on the insert blank keyframe right there. So I'll just click on that. And if I want onion skinning turn on, I'll turn it on right there. And so I can see my previous frame. I can extend it like this, and I can see my first frame. You can see my volumes are not consistent right here, but again, this is just a demo, so we're all right. And so I'll just draw my last frame right here. Okay. And so right now, that last drawing, if I turn off onion skinning and I do playback right here, it's just lasting one frame and then it's done. So if I want to extend that out, I'll click on the frame I want it to extend to. And again, I'll press F5 on my keyboard right there, or again, press this button to extend that out. And so now when I play this, it extends out. So I can, and we'll go over this button right here next, which is inserting a keyframe. So I can turn on looping right here. So you can see when I click loop, this little blue bar shows up. And so right now, if I play, it's only going to loop the small little area right there. But I can click it and drag so that it can, let's say I wanted to loop that section. So this is really useful if you're working on an animation and you really want to focus on one particular movement within your animation and really focus in on it. You can drag those bars. And you can also drag it so that it's the entire duration of your animation right here. So now it'll loop throughout the whole duration right here. So let's talk for a minute. Let's circle back to the onion skin. So I'm going to turn on onion skin right here so we can see the range of the onion skin. So my playhead is on frame 16 right here, and I can see the first drawing back here. It'll show up as red, and I can see the final drawing right here showing up as green right there. So let's go into advanced settings and see how we can kind of change some of this around. So I'll click on this and go down to advanced settings. Sorry, when I say this, I mean the onion skin button. So this window will show up, and you can see there's some nice things that you can kind of change here. I definitely prefer it to be range. You can have it set to onion skin the entire animation if you want. This is if you want it to only see the onion skins as outlines of your drawings. And then this is the standard onion skin, where's the fill. And so we can change the starting opacity, how much it decreases by over time. And right here you can also change the color of it. So right here the previous frames are showing up as red, and the future frames are showing up as green, but you can change that to be any color that you want right there. And additionally, this is a panel right here, so if you're customizing your interface and you feel like this is something that you're going to want to kind of access a lot, you always have the option to drag this in, you know, anywhere into your interface if you want it to kind of become a clickable button right here. So I have like my onion skin advanced settings right there. So, you know, some people like to do that right there. And again, if you want to remove it from your dock, I'll just click on that, exit out, and it's gone. So that is onion skinning right there. So let's talk about some timeline things that might come up for you right here. And so I've been just doing the insert blank keyframe and then extending the frame, which is called insert frame right there. And so there's another option, which is insert keyframe, which is this one right here. So I will just click on this frame right here, and basically what it's going to do is it's going to copy and paste this final keyframe right there. So I'm going to press insert frame, and you can see when I inserted a blank keyframe, there's it's like a new sheet of paper, right, where it was like a blank sheet of paper. This is a new sheet of paper, but it has that same drawing on it right there. So I can extend it out, same as before. So let's say I want it to last to frame 45. I'll click right there, and then click this button right here. And so one thing that's nice right here is, let's say I give them, so this is my insert keyframe where I kind of copied and pasted that last frame. Let's say I just want to draw a little nose on them right there. That was a terrible nose. I'm just going to do that again. And you can see it doesn't draw on the previous drawing right there, which can be really helpful, so that you can kind of make alterations to your frame and things like that. So let's talk about, so we have our animation right here. Let's see what we need to do to change the timing and kind of alter the timing of this, because that's going to come up. So first off, this little last drawing right here where I drew his nose on right there, let's say I don't want that anymore. So you have two options. So if I want to delete the whole thing, I can just select it like that. When I say select it like that, I hold shift and select that, and then I press delete, and gone. Let's say that I only want to delete a few frames from it. So I'll hold shift, click right there. If I press delete, it still deletes the whole thing right there. So what I want to do, if I just want to kind of cut off a few frames right there, is I can right click and then go up to remove frames right there. So again, I right clicked and then went up to remove frames. These will show up as blue, but when I click off on it, you can see it's been cropped in. So that's one way where you can shorten one of your keyframes right here. So another way is I can double click on the last frame, or honestly any of the frames right here. So let's say I double click right here, and on this frame, the without the nose keyframe on the right side of the page, and I want this keyframe to be shorter. So what I can do is I can just click in and drag that. I'm clicking on that yellow bar and I'm dragging, and there's a little bit of a delay that you'll see, but it'll change. You'll be able to shrink the timing right there. So now you can see I'm shrinking the timing. So now when I play that back, the frame, the without the nose last keyframe is going to be really short. You barely see it because it's only up for 3 frames right here. So I'll click on loop. Okay, so that's one way that you can change the timing right there. Let's say, and again, let's just go ahead and delete this last keyframe. So I'll just select that, press delete, and it is gone. Or I can just hold shift, select on those, right click, and then remove frames. And that way it just kind of removes any vestige of it existing before. So that's usually the way that I'll delete it, is I'll right click, go to remove frames. That's just kind of my default way of doing this. So let's say that I want to add a frame in the middle of this keyframe right here. So it's lasting this long, then we're going to there, but I want to add a new frame in here. So something I can do right here is I can just, when I can't do that remove frames trick. So let's say I hold shift and select these 3 frames. When I right click and go to remove frames, it just shortens the whole thing rather than deleting out those 3 frames right there. So instead what you need to do is you need to click on the frame where you want to have a new drawing in there. And what you'll do is you'll just insert the blank keyframe. That's kind of the way to do that right there. So I'll just insert the blank keyframe, and I'll just draw, you know, a frame up here just to kind of show. So that new drawing's right there. Okay, but let's say that I want to copy and paste. So I want them to jump from here to here, but then back down to there. So basically I want to copy and paste this frame to like in here. So what you're going to want to do there is I'm going to click right here, and I'm going to insert a new blank keyframe right here. And so now that's removed. And so now what I can do is I can just copy and paste too. You can do like traditional copy and paste in here. So I'm going to select this frame right here, and I'll just go to my selection tool and select the whole thing. And I'll press Command C, or I believe you can go up to Edit and then Copy right here. So Command C, go to this blank keyframe that I created right there, and press Command V or Edit and paste in place. Or you can paste it into a different location. So I'll paste in place. There we go. So I copied and pasted this frame from here. It jumps up, goes back down right there. And so this animation will look a little weird, right? But I'm just kind of trying to show you how you can manipulate the timeline right here. So this timeline is really flexible right here. And for kind of traditional straight ahead animation, or not straight ahead, sorry, pose to pose animation, those are kind of the main tricks that is very helpful to know while you're operating the program right there. So we can dive deeper into things, but for the time being, I just want you to kind of focus on those techniques right there. So